You ever been in one of those arguments where you're just going in circles? You lay out all the facts, you make these perfect, logical points, and nothing. It feels like you're literally talking to a brick wall. Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today. The invisible forces that are secretly derailing our most important conversations.
It's such a universal frustration, isn't it? Why do these discussions, the ones that really matter, so often just fizzle out? Or worse, they just turn into these repetitive, maddening loops. We've all been there, and it's exhausting. And here's the thing, this is the really crucial point. It's almost never because the other person is being mean or stubborn or stupid. The real reason our conversations break down is because of these powerful psychological forces that are humming away just beneath the surface, completely out of sight. So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to put a name to the problem, arguing with a wall. Then, we'll get to the diagnosis, what's really causing it. After that, we'll examine the 6 specific filters that mess with our reality. And finally, we'll talk about what we can actually do about it.
All right, let's start with the symptom, that feeling we all know so well. We're calling it simply arguing with a wall. So what is going on here? Seriously, why do rock-solid facts and clear evidence just seem to bounce off of people sometimes? How is it possible that 2 intelligent people can look at the exact same information and walk away with completely opposite conclusions? This is the core puzzle we need to solve.
And this brings us to the diagnosis. The reason this happens, the reason we talk past each other, is because every single one of us is looking at the world through our own unique invisible set of what we'll call cognitive lenses.
Think of these lenses as psychological filters that are always on, and they kick into overdrive the moment one of our core beliefs gets challenged. They automatically start shaping how we see, hear, and interpret, well, everything. And this is the fundamental truth we have to grapple with. Our view of the world isn't some perfect objective photograph of reality. Nope, it's an interpretation that's been colored and warped by these internal filters. And once you really get that, all those frustrating conversations start to make a whole lot more sense. Okay, so let's get specific. It's time to put these lenses under the microscope. We're going to examine the 6 primary filters that are constantly shaping and sometimes distorting our reality. Here they are, our 6 main culprits. We've got cognitive dissonance, the famous confirmation bias, something called identity protective cognition, motivated reasoning, the really weird backfire effect, and finally, status and expertise bias. Let's break down what each of these actually is. First on the list is cognitive dissonance. This is that uncomfortable, cringy feeling you get, that mental static, when a new piece of information directly contradicts something you already believe. It creates this internal battle that your brain is absolutely desperate to end.
So how does our brain end that battle? Well, a lot of the time, it just rejects the new information. You'll see someone suddenly shut down the conversation, or they'll deflect and try to change the topic, or they just get super defensive. See, they're not trying to be difficult. Their brain is just trying to protect itself from the pain of that internal conflict.
Number 2 is a classic, confirmation bias. You can think of this as our brain acting like a biased search engine. We don't search for the truth. We search for evidence that proves we were right all along. We naturally seek out, remember, and favor any information that confirms what we already believe.
The result is that your mind basically acts like a bouncer at a club. It's letting in everything that looks familiar and feels comfortable, and it's throwing out anything that challenges the status quo. In this mode, its job isn't to find what's true. Its job is to find what's safe.
Okay, now this one is a real heavyweight. Identity protective cognition. This is what happens when a belief isn't just an idea we have. It's a part of who we are. It's tangled up in our identity as, say, a member of a certain political party, or a religion, or even a profession. And when this kicks in, challenging the idea feels like you're attacking them as a person. Suddenly, the argument isn't about facts and figures anymore. It's about defending their very identity. For them, changing their mind isn't just about admitting they were wrong. It feels like an act of betrayal against their own tribe. All right, number 4, motivated reasoning. This one's pretty sneaky. It's where we start with the conclusion we want to be true, and then our brain works backward, cherry-picking all the evidence and arguments that support it. And make no mistake, the reasoning can sound really smart and logical on the surface. But look closer, and you'll see that logic is just a hired gun, working for our emotions. The whole process isn't about finding the truth. It's about finding a way to justify what we already feel.
Oh, the backfire effect. This one is maybe the most frustrating and bizarre of them all. It's when you present someone with clear, undeniable evidence that contradicts their belief, and instead of changing their mind, they end up believing their original idea even more strongly than before. It's wild.
And this is the painful result. Your very attempt to persuade them does the exact opposite. Your facts actually become fuel for their conviction. The harder you push with evidence, the deeper they dig their heels in.
And finally, number 6, status and expertise bias. This is kind of a special version of identity protection. It happens when someone who sees themselves as an expert gets challenged, especially by someone they see as a non-expert. To them, it doesn't feel like a debate. It feels like an attack on their authority and their status.
And you know exactly what this sounds like. You hear it in phrases like, "Look, I know better, I studied this for years." The argument gets dismissed not because it's wrong, but because of who it's coming from. It's no longer about the idea, it's about protecting their position as the smartest person in the room. Okay, so we've seen the symptoms, we have the diagnosis, we've examined all 6 filters. So what on earth are we supposed to do? Well, that brings us to the prescription, the power of awareness. First things first, we have to completely change our goal. If you walk into a difficult conversation with the goal of winning the argument, you have already lost, because all you're going to do is trigger every single one of those defensive lenses we just talked about.
So here it is. The single most powerful first step you can take is just awareness. You can't fix a problem you can't see. And that means becoming aware that these lenses exist, not just in other people, but just as importantly, in ourselves.
So, this is what it boils down to. Next time you're in one of those conversations, try to get curious. Ask yourself, what lens might they be looking through right now? And then even harder, what lens am I looking through? Because better conversations don't start with better arguments. They start with a genuine effort to understand.
And that's the real question I want to leave you with. As you go through the rest of your day, in your next disagreement, your next debate, just pause for a second and ask yourself, what lenses am I looking through right now? Because that awareness, that's the first step to finally seeing things and each other just a little more clearly.